Hi, I am Badr Al-Khamisi, and I'll be presenting our paper titled How to Learn and Represent Abstractions and Investigation Using Symbolic Alchemy. This work has been done during my internship at Sony AI in collaboration with Akshay of Sony, Zeb Kurt-Nelson, and Sam Ritter of DeepMind. Since abstraction is a keyword in the title, I would like to begin by motivating its importance when building artificial agents. Consider yourself, for example, playing a racket sport such as ping pong for the first time. A generally capable agent will immediately draw upon their prior experience playing tennis, on how to handle a racket, the body motion required to hit a ball, and various other motor controls that is common between both sports. Such effective adaptation relies on abstracting away the shared features that underlies both sports from the sensory motor specifics. So what is abstraction in one sentence? Well, it is the process of extracting common structure and mapping it onto new sensory motor specifics, like ping pong in this example. However, let's take a step back and look how humans are capable of performing such abstractions. Evidence from imaging studies in humans and single neuron recordings in monkeys suggest a pivotal role for the prefrontal cortex in the representation and implementation of abstract rules. Further, a paper from 2018 by Wang et al. From DeepMind have shown that by considering the prefrontal cortex as its own meta-reinforcement learning system that is driven by dopamine-based synaptic learning, one can account for a wide range of behavioral and neurophysiological findings. Here, the synaptic weights in the prefrontal cortex is adjusted by dopamine-based RL, and at the same time, RL takes place in a dynamic environment posing a series of interrelated tasks. I know the audience of this video will be familiar with Meta-RL, but to describe it briefly, meta-reinforcement learning has branched out from deep RL as its own separate field in an attempt to overcome some of its limitations, such as poor sample efficiency and better generalization to different but related tasks. It can be conceptualized as shown in this example as two nested learning loops in which the outer loop trains the agent in a relatively slow process that spans a distribution of tasks with some shared structure. That in turn enables the inner loop to rapidly adapt to each new draw from the task distribution. In other words, the outer process gradually strengthens the inductive bias of the inner one such that it can learn or find the solution more efficiently. There's another part of the brain that has also been involved in the formation of abstract rules. Specifically, the hippocampus is a complex brain structure embedded deep into the temporal lobe and has a major role in learning and memory. Interactions between frontal cortex and the hippocampal formation have been shown to play an important role in how abstract representations are tied to sensory motor specifics. So, inspired by the importance of the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus in the representation of abstract rules, we design an architecture with the following components. We used an LSTM since it has been shown to have connection with prefrontal gating theories to represent the prefrontal cortex, while a variant of the transformer that's connected to an episodic memory to represent the hippocampus. We use this architecture to tackle a Meta-RL benchmark and analyze the behavior and emergent representations when an agent of this architecture interacts in the Alchemy Benchmark. So what is Alchemy Benchmark? Alchemy is a novel among existing benchmarks in bringing together two desirable features: structural interestingness due to its abstract, causal, and compositional latent organization, which demands experimentation, structured inference, and strategic action sequencing, and structure accessibility conferred by its explicitly defined generative process. It is proposed to make fine-grained analysis and interpretation of Meta-RL agents possible while maintaining the complexity needed for interesting conceptual abstractions to be learned. The goal of the agent within each trial is to transform three stones into a more valuable form, the value of which is tied to the stone's perceptual features. By applying a sequence of different potions on each of them, the agent can then collect the reward associated with the stone by dropping it into a central cauldron. The chemistry dictates the causal structure that governs each episode, as well as a possible set of stone perceptual features that can occur. It can be visualized as a cube, as shown on the right, where each vertex corresponds to a specific stone value in the latent space. The potion effects run along the edges of the cube as shown here. Edges can be missing, creating a bottleneck that the agent must pass through to reach a high rewarding state. This may require passing through intermediate lower value states first. The task is divided into a number of episodes that have different chemistries, each of which is divided into a number of trials that have a new set of potions and stones, therefore requiring the agent to make use of past experience in order to rapidly adapt to new environments. In this work, we use a symbolic interface of the Alchemy Benchmark that enables Meta-RL research without a large compute budget. It uses a representation such as the one shown here to represent the environment instead of interacting with a three-dimensional one. There are certain rules and constraints that span across episodes, which makes Alchemy a meta-learning benchmark. The agent is expected to learn to identify and exploit those regularities in order to achieve high performance in the task. We call such rules abstract principles, and here are some that we consider in this work. Consistency, which are potions of the same color will always have the same effect on stones with the same visual features within an episode. Parallelism, each potion color has the same direction of effect regardless of the other features. Missing edges, where overlaid on that parallelism, some edges can be disabled for an episode. Potion pairs, where potion come in pairs with opposite effects. Alchemy's accessibility allows us to compare our model's performance against a Bayesian learner called the ideal observer. This agent maintains a belief state over all possible chemistries given the history of observations and performs an exhaustive search over both available actions and possible outcomes in order to maximize reward at the end of the current trial. The resulting policy both marks out the highest attainable task score in expectation and exposes minimum regret action sequences which optimally balance the exploration against exploitation. Which optimally balance exploration or experimentation against exploitation. Alchemy comes with 1,000 held out episodes to be used for evaluations. Here we show the result of VMPO, which is a powerful deep RL agent that failed to learn abstract principles with a random heuristic and the ideal observer. It can be seen that the gap is huge between VMPO and the ideal observer. And these are the results of our agent with the different representations used that are fully described in the paper. We show that our agent using a custom representation is capable of bridging the gap by learning the set of abstractions described previously. Here are some behavior results where we report the number of times the agent took a null transition, which is applying a potion that has no effect on the stone. That wasn't the result of a missing edge or choosing a potion color or stone that was not available, but due to a lack of understanding of a specific abstract principle, we compare our agent's behavior to that of the ideal observer and the random heuristic. This is a performance as a function of missing edges in the causal graph. It can be seen that our agent approached the performance of the ideal observer as compared to the random heuristic, and we see that no missing edges, our agent actually performs almost on par with the ideal observer. We show other behavior results like this, where throughout the first and last trial, we show the number of times the agent applied a potion that worsened, improved, or had no effect on the value of the stone, and the number of times the agent deposited a stone into the central cauldron as a function of its reward. It can be seen that the A2C EPN agent almost never deposits a negative reward stone, and more importantly, it adapts its strategy throughout the course of the episode. More information can be seen in the paper. Other than behavior results, inspired by single-cell recordings in neuroscience, where single neurons are usually shown to be selective for a specific abstract concept, we probed our model to see if it will give rise to similar selectivity by analyzing the activations of single units in the LSTM and that of the transformer. Here, for example, we see that this unit is only responsive on stone 3 in the latent state 8, the state with the highest reward, and on the right we see the same unit as in A, but as a function of the stone's perceptual state. It implies that the unit is responsive regardless of the stone's perceptual features. On the right, we see that this unit has a magnitude proportional to the reward of its corresponding state, regardless of which stone is used, while on the left we can see that the used unit's activation are more positive in the state with negative rewards. Here we see the activation of two transformer units, one that has high activation when the agent chooses the turquoise potion, while a negative activation when it chooses its opposite color. On the right, we see the exact opposite of the previous unit. In short, our contributions are as follows. We show a way in which researchers can use alchemy with a limited compute budget to analyze Meta-RL agents in a principled manner. We propose a hypothesis based on empirical results into why previous agents failed to solve symbolic alchemy. Specifically, our experiments show that more efficient outer loop exploration and an architecture for handling positional output are required. We present a new kind of behavior analysis that can be done on alchemy to test whether the agent succeeded or failed in acquiring specific pieces of abstract knowledge. We release a tool for visualizing the chemistry and latent space of any given episode in symbolic alchemy to better help researchers debug the behavior of their agents. We demonstrate that just as in animals, single units of the LSTM and transformer encode abstract task variables. Moreover, single unit analysis revealed that evidence for distinct functional roles for LSTM and transformer units, which correspond to cortical and hippocampal neurons respectively, this connects with what has been seen in recordings from rodent and primate cortex.